I call this chapter From the Heart, and I'm very excited about it. A few weeks ago, I started gathering quotes from correctional officers in the state prison system, in the county, in Canada, and in Germany. And I asked them to make a quote about being a correctional officer or whatever they felt about being a correctional officer. It will be chapter 1 in my book coming out soon, The Toughest Job, and there's some really nice quotes in here that make you think about how tough our job really is. But these quotes, if you'll just take time to listen to a few of them, I think you're going to see that we have a great bunch of people working in corrections. We have a lot of very smart people in corrections. And let me just start with the quotes now, because their words are much better than mine. I will not use their names right now. They allowed me to use the name in the book, but I'll just give you the quote and where they worked or what position they worked. First quote: "Law enforcement taught me the true meaning of making it home to family alive. Great career, but after a brutal attack by an inmate, it changed me mentally." Author of Life's Moments to Inspire, Laugh, and Pray. This person was a detention deputy for the sheriff's office and suffered a brutal attack. But she wants to put that out there. I'll scroll down, so sometimes there'll be just a short pause. Next quote: "I remember my second day in the academy. I signed up to be a deputy sheriff on the road. A tall man came to our class, Major Grimes. He said, 'We need officers at the jail.' He put us on the spot. How do you say no to a major on the second day of the academy? 440 hours later, I was a certified correctional officer. 28 years later, I retired as a correctional officer. Correctional officers do not get the glory the road warriors do. Our job is tough and sometimes unbearable. We begin to see the worst in everybody that walks through those cell doors. We deal with bad people day in and day out. We go home and do it all over again the next day. Without any glory, we continue to do our job and rely on our fellow officers to back us up. We are family inside these walls. We do a job only a very few can do. All guts but no glory. This is the motto of the correctional officer, a retired detention deputy." Next quote: "I served both as a state correctional officer and a county detention deputy. My most rewarding experience was being part of the correctional officer camaraderie. Knowing that we had each other's backs, mutual trust was always important to me. Also knowing that in some way I may have had an impact on an inmate or inmates, influencing them to make a better life for themselves. 35 years of service, retired prison DOC and sheriff's office." Next quote: "I never dreamed of being a correctional officer. After the Army, I took a job as a state correctional officer thinking I would not stay long. 28.8 years later, I retired from corrections. As I look back on my journey, I have no regrets whatsoever about working in corrections. I am proud to say I am a retired correctional officer." Scrolling up to the next one, and I'll just go up in order now. "Communication is a critical component of surviving in corrections, both in the ability to deliver an effective message and to understand what is truly being said to you. Also, trust is something true officers understand. Trust is like a house of cards. It takes a long time to build, but only one mistake can destroy it." Corrections Lieutenant: "I always felt I was doing a service to the community by keeping the criminals off the street. I also took the opportunity for career advancement. I took a difficult job and survived the obstacles while finding opportunity. After 23 years of service, I retired at the rank of captain. I do not regret serving in this capacity. for the state of Florida and the people of Florida. Retired captain, prison. As a correctional officer, the job becomes more challenging when the public believes in the misinformation about the profession. Changes that should create balance end up weakening the ability for correctional officers to truly be effective. Our best step forward is to educate those who want a better understanding of what correctional officers do and challenge any opinion that looks to bastardize the great profession. Correctional officer. Next quote. When a correctional officer takes a job in corrections, they do not realize how difficult the job is until they actually become a working correctional officer. It is then they realize they may be perceived as a target by the inmates, but also, unfortunately, a target by those who strive to climb the career ladder off the backs of others. They will soon realize that they wear a badge and they are every bit as important as any other entity in law enforcement. The public perception of this job is formulated on false premises. The correctional officer is indeed the forgotten officer. Correctional officer up north did that one. Next quote. A life in corrections has a tendency of being more than a career. I am now recovering from an operational stress injury and now have my service dog, Kyra, to help me deal with regular society away from corrections. A large part of my sense of identity went to corrections. Being away from corrections at this time has caused me to have trouble seeing myself as anything other than a correctional officer. I'm getting there. I am adapting. If anyone else is planning to be a correctional officer, I would suggest they be sure they understand what kind of mindset is needed to survive in this career. Canadian Correctional Officer. Correctional officers play an instrumental role in law enforcement process. In Homeland Security, we refer to them as detention officers or agents, but the mission is the same. Standing on the line of America's front line entails the same with the confines of the very facilities that house detainees and inmates throughout America. Officer safety, professionalism, and integrity are paramount among the ranks of correctional officers throughout our nation. Homeland Security Officer. Next quote. The job was an opportunity to get inside the heads of those who live lawlessly, to understand their take on life, hoping there are some who could benefit from encouragement to live by the rules and break free of the cycle of self-destruction. I was extremely interested in their point of view. Retired Deputy Sheriff and Marine Corps retired. The job is tough because nothing prepares you for this job. Life experiences, military service, schooling, formal training in the field of sociology cannot prepare you for this job. This job is difficult because it can only be done with a profound acceptance of professionalism versus personal biases. This is hard to overcome, making this career field incredibly hard to do. Retired Deputy Sheriff and combat veteran. Next quote. There's two more. This one and another one. The professionals for whom I am responsible sooner or later will be released again and be a part of society. They are and will be our neighbors, parents of children who go to school with our children, our teammates at sports clubs. I think it is very important to show them by personal example during their time in custody. Show them how they can improve or help them to lead a life without a crime in the future. For most people outside of the system, the penal system is a necessary evil that costs a lot of money. Most people only know about the penal system from what they see on television, which is 99% wrong. There is a lack of staff, equipment, and above all, a lack of understanding our work by most people. We are often yelled at, spit at, insulted, and unfortunately often injured. If we take action, it means we show understanding. If we do not do anything, it means we should take tough action. The political leadership in its ivory tower has a completely wrong view of the system in which we move every day. They decide accordingly to the files and not by the people, or not by we the people. If a file does not change, but people do. I am not dissatisfied. Would I rather work something else? No, I'm a correctional officer. I have sworn an oath and I will not break it. An officer in Germany. And last quote, the following frontline officers have shared their thoughts. The next quote, that was my beginning to the quote, sorry. I work as a correctional officer because I want to protect the public from dangerous criminals and keep my community safe for my family and yours. It is a hard job because of the consistent threat of physical attacks, the verbal abuse, and the long hours away from family members. Working on holidays away from the family is not easy. A few people can do this job successfully. It requires guts. I cannot see myself doing anything else after working 5 years behind the prison walls. This job is extremely rewarding for me, a Georgia correctional officer. Folks, I just wanted you to hear from officers around the United States and Canada and Germany what they have to say about the job of being a correctional officer. And that's why I called this chapter From the Heart. And I had to share it before the book comes out. The book will be out in about 5-6 weeks. And I just had to share those with you because I was excited about their quotes. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you have some quotes from the heart that you'll share with officers and people that aren't in corrections, to let them know that we are human beings. We're not bad people. We are the people protecting you from the bad people. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Gary York, True Prison Stories.